Apple dropped two new MacBooks this year, the M4 MacBook Air and the new M5 MacBook Pro. And they look like very similar laptops, but they're made for two completely different kinds of people. So if you're trying to decide which one you should get, let me break it down. But before we get started, we gotta give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, ZipRecruiter. You know the saying, good help is hard to find? We all know that can be true, especially when you're getting tons of applications and nobody seems like the right fit. Trust me, I know how rough it is, unless you're using ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter finds amazing candidates for you fast. And right now, you can try it free at ZipRecruiter.com/consumer. The second you post a job, ZipRecruiter's tech gets to work matching you with the right candidate. And it's not just throwing resumes at you, it curates the right ones for the job. So no more doom scrolling resumes, just the best options front and center. And it's kind of like having your own hiring assistant. So ditch the other hiring sites and let ZipRecruiter find what you're looking for, because 4 out of 5 employers find a quality candidate within the first day. So try it for free at my exclusive URL, ZipRecruiter.com/consumer, and I'll of course have links down below in the description. But now back to the video. Now, I already mentioned that they look very similar, but we all know the MacBook Air. It is the slimmer of the two. It's lighter, it's also fanless. This guy right here is absolutely made for mobility. So if you wanna move around, you wanna take this places, this is easily the best option in that regard. But funnily enough, it also comes in a larger size. This is the 13-inch model, but you can also get a 15-inch model if you want that lightweight portability, but with a bigger screen. Now, on the MacBook Pro side of things, this boy's a little bit chunkier. Not by much, this is still an incredibly thin laptop, but this is built more for endurance. So we have a thicker body, it does have fans inside, but it also has better thermals. Now, surprisingly, you can only get the MacBook Pro with this new M5 chip in the 14-inch model. I guess it kind of makes sense. If you go up to the 16-inch model, chances are you want to do a little bit more. So Apple offers more powerful chips there. Honestly, I don't think buying a 16-inch M5 would make any sense. So this 14-inch sits right in between the sizes that you get with the Air. And if you care about colors, with the MacBook Pro, you get space black that you see here, or the silver option. And when it comes to the Air, you get this sky blue, silver, starlight, and midnight. So lots more color options for the Air. And it's similar to what we see with the Pro models on the phones. You get more colors with like the base iPhone compared to the Pro models, which get like 3 to 4 colors. Now, with weight, size, and color out of the way, you pretty much get a lot of the same hardware. You get the same typing experience because they've got the same keyboard, same trackpad. Where you do see a difference with the quality of hardware though, is with the screen on the MacBook Pro. So this MacBook Pro has a mini LED display, which is going to be a better quality display, which makes sense because MacBook Pros are typically used for things like video editing, photo editing, professional creative work where colors are important and the screen quality is going to really matter. So that's why you've got that on the Pro. Whereas with the Air, it's still a really nice display, great for everyday use. Colors, brightness, all of that is still going to be just fine. But the MacBook Pro's display is just better. Unless you're using it for creative work, like I said, the screen is not a reason to buy the Pro over the Air. One thing I will say though is that the MacBook Pro does have a 120 hertz display compared to a 60 hertz over on the Air. For everyday folks, I don't think that's a big deal. But if you want to do gaming or anything like that, it's definitely something to consider. Now, these both have some of Apple's newest chips, the M4, this is the M5. Now, this M4 is still really new and it's really fast. Honestly, I feel like 90% of things that you do will feel equally fast on either device. Like for everyday use, you're not going to see a huge difference from the M4 compared to the M5. And to nerd out for just a second, with the M5, you're getting better multi-core performance and better GPU performance. So when it comes to, heavy workloads, you're using Final Cut Pro or maybe some AI tools, maybe if you want to take a stab at gaming on these devices, then you're going to see better performance here and it's going to be better sustained performance. So when you're doing those heavy workloads, it is going to perform better for a much longer period of time compared to the Air. But that's not to say that you can't do those things over here, because you absolutely can. Just not quite to the level as the MacBook Pro, and definitely not as long. To put it in perspective, I could definitely use something like the M4 MacBook Air to do video editing and still not feel like I'm being bogged down. But if I wanted to work all day on video editing, that's the one I would want. So when it comes to performance, think of it like this. If you're web browsing, listening to music, or word processing, these are gonna feel exactly the same, but this is going to feel much lighter. This is the one you're gonna wanna take to Starbucks and get some of that work done. But when you're thinking about actually doing some like professional stuff, this is like your mobile workstation that you can pretty much take anywhere. So that's kind of how you got to look at this. Now, one other area that the MacBook Pro does perform better in is absolutely the speakers. The speaker quality on the MacBook Pros is honestly next level compared to almost all laptops, which makes sense because if you're doing creative work, audio is also a big part of that. So you want to make sure you have solid speakers to go with that. So on the everyday side of things, that does mean a better viewing experience when you're watching content. But honestly, the difference between the two when it comes to the speaker quality is night and day. But what about battery life, right? Well, with Apple's M chips, battery life has been amazing since they introduced the M1, and you still see a lot of that here. This one's rated for 18 hours of usage, and this guy's rated for 22 hours of usage. So you've got a bigger battery over here, and if you're just doing everyday tasks, this is definitely going to last longer. But if you're starting to introduce some, heavier workflows, because this is going to output a bit more, battery's probably going to drain a little bit faster when you're working on like a video project or something like that. So it all really depends, but with everyday use cases, they're both going to last you pretty much all day. But when working hard, this one will probably go a little bit faster. And if you are wondering what happens if you want to do longer video editing sessions on the Air, well, you'll be able to, but eventually it will start to throttle because this thing doesn't have any fans. Over time, if you're pushing it, it's gonna get a little hot and then it's going to slow down so that it doesn't get extremely hot, and that means a little bit less performance. Whereas with this guy, you have the fans, it can keep the performance going. Now, the most important thing we gotta talk about here is the price. So this guy starts in at $999, so $1,000, whereas this starts at $1,599. Massive difference in price, $600. Now, obviously what you're paying for here is the better performance. You got a better display, better speakers. You can just use this for a lot longer than you can the Air, but that might not be what you care about if you just want to get your hands on a laptop to use for everyday things. You know that part better than I do, but those are the clear-cut differences here. But here's my recommendation for different user profiles. If you're just an everyday person looking for a new laptop, I'm definitely going to recommend the MacBook Air. It's lighter, it's much cheaper, potentially quieter also. So this one is easily the choice to go with when you don't have anything crazy to do. You just want a good laptop. But if you're a creative or a developer or maybe even a gamer, then you're definitely going to want the MacBook Pro. So with the M5 MacBook Pro, you're going to get that better sustained performance, display, speakers, all the things we mentioned earlier. You get that here, and this stuff is actually important for folks like you. Now, if you're a traveler or someone who's on the go a lot, I still say the Air. The Air is definitely going to be the thing you want to take around with you because of its lightweight and compact design, and you're probably not going to be working in a space for very long as a traveler or someone who's on the move. So this is definitely going to be able to get the job done. And I know I already touched on creatives, but if you want to talk about content creators specifically, then it depends on what kind of content creator you are. If you're a budding content creator and you're just getting into the space, you're learning how to edit, everything is still really new, I'd say go with the Air. This is gonna be able to handle most of the tasks that you throw at it in those beginning stages. But if you're a bit more experienced and you probably already know this, then the Pro just makes the most sense. It's gonna be able to handle more of the complex things that you might wanna do with content creation, like special graphics, having insane timelines. Pro just makes more sense, but you probably know this. So I think that about wraps it up. Those are who I recommend these laptops for. Obviously, these are amazing laptops, but you just gotta make sure you're picking up the right one that works for you.